Another program from Restoration Ministry, Sweden, Mamo. So we are discussing about family focused. So we have a guest speaker here, Godina Cleveland. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
We love to have you here every time.
Yeah.
God bless you.
I love to be here. It's great.
Thank you so much. So we are discussing about this family focused in Sweden. The reason why we are discussing about the issue is that, number one, we find in Sweden that there is a lot of high divorce rate, very high. And also there is a lot of rebelliousness among the youths. And there is a lot of drugs and alcohol in the system of this nation. So you have been married for almost 30 years.
25.
25. Okay, we are the same equal. Welcome myself, 25, 50,
good.
jubilee. Praise God.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
I thought it was 30. So I just want to know is that last time we were discussing personally about issues. What will make people to like so very not connected to their family? When it comes to family issues like husband and wife, divorce issue, anger, bitterness, rebelliousness, can you please enlighten us about these deep issues? Because if you look at it today, if you look at the schools are blaming the parents for not taking care of their children. And the parents are blaming the teachers. And the teachers, the parents are also blaming the Hollywood. But the government is also blaming the teachers. So who is responsible really to take care of children?
Well, that's an easy question. In my opinion, it really is that a parent is responsible for their children. And we as parents, I have 3 children myself, 16, 20, and 22, so they're getting older and more independent. But as a parent, we are absolutely responsible to raise our children. We can't expect the state, the government to raise our kids, the school to raise our kids. I mean, parents should take this very seriously, that they're the ones that put in to the child what the values should be. And I think that's part of the problem, is that there is some kind of confusion who's responsible. I mean, should the school be responsible to teach this? Should I as a parent be responsible to teach this? But I would say that every parent needs to really evaluate how they're raising their kids and say, you know what, this is my responsibility, this is my child, and no one else is going to love that child like I love it. No one else is going to care as much about the future for that child as I as a parent will do. And, it's easy to abdicate responsibility, think, well, they're professionals, the teachers are professionals, maybe they can do a better job than I can. But that's not true. There's not as a mother, you know that when you have a child, it's like the greatest thing there is to have a child. But then, as they grow, there's difficult stages. And I think, especially with teenagers, that it's easy to say, well, you know what, maybe the professionals can handle this stage better. But, God gives us grace to raise our children. And it's so important that, especially, I'm Christian, and I want my children to see what it's like to have a relationship with the Lord, and to know what it's like when God answers your prayers and changes things in your life, and to be able to give that value to them. I mean, they still have to make their own decision about what they believe and things like that.
That's wonderful. You see, the problem is that I cannot really ask you this question because we as a Christian, can we not really introduce morals to our children, because our children is looking unto us? But if we as a parent does not give an example to our own children, what are we waiting for? What are the children going to get from that? I can give an example. If a parent is drinking an alcohol, and he's a Christian, and he's telling the child not to drink alcohol, that is a double standard. That is hypocrites. And a parent who is fighting with their wives at home every day, beating their wives, what do they expect from their children? To correct their children. Please, can you enlighten them? Because these are part of the things that is really creating problem in the home. Homes are supposed to be a safe place. Homes are supposed to be a place to create morals. Homes are supposed to be a place where teach our children how to behave, how to act. But the home is not responsible anymore. We are shifting the responsibility to the state. We are shifting the responsibility to the teacher. Even, we are even shifting the responsibility to the pastors in the church. So, can you really enlighten us deep about this issue? Because you probably have traveled along with your husband for many years to different countries. So,
Yeah, well, I grew up in Sweden, and I lived in America, and I lived in Britain, and I've also lived in Africa, in West Africa. Where are you from? Yeah. I think, children observe our lives, for sure. They don't always listen to what we say, but they can watch our lives. So it is important that our lives line up with our values. We want to teach certain values to our children, then we got to live them. And I think for a lot of moral values, we can live that out. Like our children watch. I think this is an important point. That our children have always watched us resolve conflicts between me and my husband. You know, everyone has conflicts.
yes.
Everyone has disagreements, and everyone has a different opinion about whatever it is. As simple as what we're going to eat today, or how we're going to spend the money, whatever it is. So I've taught my children, and a lot of it by example, that you resolve the conflicts. It's okay to have a conflict. It's okay to disagree, but you have to resolve it. You have to be able to humble yourself and say sorry. You have to show that to your children, and when you do wrong to them, you got to be able to say sorry to them and live that out. That yes, I've made a mistake, and when you make a mistake, you admit that you made a mistake. And if they can learn even as young, then we can live that value out in our lives. That we can apologize to one another, we can put things right when we disagree, even when we say hurtful things to one another, that we can put it right. So I think our children hear what we say, but more than that, they see how we live. And I think it is the responsibility of the parents to live in a way that we want our children to live.
Exactly. You said, I want to really ask you this another question, that if a husband and wife, because we are impacting new generations, and if you look at the statistics of the world, most of the people that are on top in the world today, they were brought up from a very good home, who have a moral standard, not those that are not living a moral standard, have a moral standard. Because this moral standard was set in the Bible in the book of Exodus, where God told Moses that you have to choose an eligible man, responsible men, moral men that will lead the congregations. I think if we can be able to copy that standard, we would have been the best in the world everywhere today, in every situation in the church, as a church. But there is one situation I really want to ask, is that why is it that there is always many men want to control their wives, including my husband. 65% of men I've seen, they want to control their wives. They use Bible as a tool to control. Like the issue of God, they use one Bible verse to manipulate their wives and the head of the house. But to be really the head, they don't do it. So I think, please, can you really enlighten us in this area? Because they use it a lot.
Yeah, in Sweden though, I don't think that's much of a problem, because I think women really feel very independent and strong, and they don't have they're not easily controlled.
There are many that are controlling. You have not met a lot of me.
But it's true. I think in a marriage that everyone has an opinion. Everyone has their own will, but you got to work together. And I think there shouldn't be one dominating the other. And I think Jesus gives an example to us that we are to submit to one another, and we are to love one another and respect one another, and that he makes no difference between male and female, that, husband and wife, and we respect one another. And I think when it comes to our values, even in Sweden, there is still a foundational value that is from the Bible, that is based on Christianity, that what is right and what is wrong. You know, when it comes to the Ten Commandments, there's still people who live, even if they don't believe in God anymore, there's still a foundational value in society, I think.
Yeah, but in another question I need to ask also before I ask the conclusion about this issue, we as a Christian, do we really install, there are many Christians who don't have time for their own families. We are so busy. There's the word, a man define business as busy for every yokes. So we are busy, we are not paying attention to our own children. By the time when something went wrong, we begin to blame the devil. Because most of the time we want to give our children best clothes, money and everything, but did they really need that, or they need the love of the father and the mother at the same time, and spending time with our own children?
Well, I think that's a trap that all the Western world falls into. We believe that it's material things that will make our children happy and go far in life, but they do need time, quality time with their parents as they grow up is crucial. It's very important, and I think a Christian or working person, it really doesn't matter what you spend your time on, but you have to have a balance in your life, that you spend time with your family.
Yeah.
And that is a value, and I think it's a responsibility as well for you that have children.
Because if you look at why I'm asking this question is every time I drive out to certain places, so many places, and I meet a lot of people, and in the working place, so many places, I see things that is happening with the youth of today. Like, let me give an example, like what happened in the United States. People would think cannot happen here. It can happen if we don't do something about it. Because there are so many, if you go out in the evening around 10 o'clock in the night, you will see a young children who is just 12 years, 15 years, 16 years, hanging around in Gustav Adolf Toilet, smoking cocaine, smoking hashish, drinking alcohol. But these children has parents. They have parents. So what can we do as a church or as a parent to solve these issues?
Those are not easy issues to solve. I think, every parent should know where their preteens or teenagers are at all times. I would definitely not let when they were that young, to be out. And I think part of the problem is that we've abdicated that responsibility. Both parents are working, the child is at daycare, the child is at school, and when they get home, they're too tired to care, and they just let the children do what they want and not always know. They probably don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is our responsibility to know what they're doing and where they are, and as hard as that might be. And I think we need to have confidence in ourselves as parents that we can do this.
Yeah, because many parents have checked out. But they are living, I've seen children with so many parents, the two parents are at home, but the two parents have checked out spiritually. When somebody's checked, I don't know what I'm talking about. When you check, you are there, but you are not there. The child is busy doing their own thing. They can be on the computer for hours. They are watching all kind of bad movies. Child is not supposed to watch. A movie which they said it should be for 18 years, from 20 years, a child of 10, a child of 5 is watching those kind of movies. When the parents checked out, and the end, something went wrong. When the child becomes 12 years, where we to blame the government, the teachers, the church. Please give us.
No, you can't blame anyone else. There are secondary authorities, figures, and secondary in the children's lives. The parents are all the primary educators. In my opinion, parents are the primary educators, and the teachers are secondary. They're there to educate academically, but when it comes to life and living life and life values, it's the parents. And maybe you can't teach them math, but that's not what it's about.
No.
You got to teach them what's right and wrong, and you have to stick to your values. And being strict with the movies, I think I've been pretty strict with my children and what I allow them to watch, because they're so easily manipulated or easily take on whatever's going. So
Yeah, you see, because like there's a word we normally use in the working place, is that there's no dysfunctional parent, there's no dysfunctional children without dysfunctional parents. Can I ask you that question? Anybody can I ask Tony, what do if you say there's no dysfunctional children without no dysfunctional parents? Because before a child becomes dysfunctional, there must be a dysfunctional parent.
In that point of view, sometimes, of course, we all know that it's a primary task for any parents to bring the child. But sometimes, especially foreigners, because if you go deeply this time around in these cases, most of these children that are having these chronical problems, I know that there is a percentage in all, but most of these children that has these chronical problems are children that are from broken homes. But that is one case. But the other thing that I find out is that parents are a little bit scared because of the system, the rules placed by the system. So some parents are a little bit scared. For example, they can misjudge your judgment if you are trying to discipline the children. And why the Bible says, teach a child to choose the correct path, and when he's older, he remain upon it. Sometimes a parent might want to do the right thing, but he's a little bit afraid of the limit that has been set by the state in order to bring the child up. I've always believed that, though in Africa where we come from, there has been so much exaggeration the way the parents treat the children and bring them up, but still there has been improvement concerning those children. You will see they found out that the level we that were brought up in that manner a little bit tougher. You see the level of alcohol, the level of drunkenness, the level of criminality is not so much compared to the children that they have given all this liberty. This is what I feel about that.
Please, can I give you to Brafili to answer this question? You see, like, there's an issue I want to really look at in this, when I would say dysfunctional parents. Yeah, many parents does not have, they are afraid of the state, what the state will probably do. But listen, I believe that when you get information, you will know how to information about the system, you know how the system works. The children are using the system to manipulate their parents, actually, because they know their parents do not understand any rules of the system. So, Philip, you are just married newly now. So, like, if you have information about the system and the child, you can really your child manipulate if you know how the system works. Because myself, when I was bringing my child, or my son now is 24 years. When I'm disciplining my son, first of all, that was at the age of 8 years, 7 years, he said, I will go and report you in school. I said, do that. Because I have to get information. I walk straight to the school. I'll tell the teacher, I say, this is what I'm trying to do with my son. I said, I want you to work with me. Let two of us work together. I said, if he messed up in a class, discipline. The kind of discipline you will do is that take her out of the class, let her know what he has done. If I want to put her in one room, do that for me. We work together. So they know. But if you don't work with them, you don't know the system, they will manipulate you. The child will use the system to manipulate you. I've seen many children using the system to manipulate their parents because they don't know the information about the state. They thought the school system had to just say, give the children up, and then the children do anything like that. They're free and it's not that they're free. There's something like free, but there's a limit. So give me the information. How will you handle those kind of information?
First of all, if I have a child, what I will do is that I will try to understand the system. And first of all, I believe that in every system there's always a way to discipline children. So I am not forced to like beat on the child or like to do something really harmful to the child. But there are many things I can apply, like I can give the child a time out, I can suspend the child, or I can punish the child by maybe discipline him by trying to stop him to use what he likes, for instance.
Definitely.
Like maybe watching the TV or playing games.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's another way. But somehow too in the system, I believe that the system somehow built on the fact that they trust the children more than the parents. So it happens at the time that the child may lie and the state will believe the child instead of the parents. Why? Because probably the child said something to the teacher, and the teacher and the child later reported the parents to the social, and at the end of the day, the child is like confronted between the teacher and the social at the same time. So, and that's the problem.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is a very common issue. And I think it can be solved if we know how to really communicate nicely. You see, can I give like example, like when our children were just about 2, my first son and my daughter, there is issue of discipline between me and my husband. So the issue of discipline, my husband is the soft one, and I'm the wide one. So my husband would just say, if ever they did something, my husband would like to say, okay, let it be, they are small children. And so we were having conflict issue about those areas to discipline. So when I come together, we say, no, we are going to be in toothpaste. We have to be in agreement. They were just about 8 years, 7 years at this time. We sit down, we make a decision that the only way we are going to solve this issue now is for 2 of us to speak the same language. So when my son misbehaves, what I do, I know that he loves to play football. That is his best game. And I know that he loves to watch football on the television so much. So what I did is that I said, you are not watching TV throughout the whole week. And that is something he loves so much. And it also happened that their father bought computer quickly. And when computer was no more in homes at that time, he bought it quickly. So they love to play computer. So I told them that you are not going to play. It was for the first 2 months, 3 months, it was like my husband would feel like, oh, I'm maltreating the children. But later they come to see the effect on them. Like the Yogos, I will say, you are not going out for 1 week. You will be indoors. You are not going to play outside. So they know that it's very painful. So that I want you to really explain this area of agreement.
In terms of agreement, I think that is vitally very, very important. Like what she said, 2 parents has to agree. We have to speak one language, not 2 parents be divided. Or we agree that, for instance, if the children misbehave, they are not going out 1 week. We agree they are not going out 1 week. And again, we have to suspend, like what she said, their best game. No computer games, sometimes no TV, sometimes they don't even want to go to visit their friends. That is their punishment. We use that as a punishment to bring them up. And they were quite aware that if they misbehave, we're going to take from them what they love best, their best game. Like what she said, we always have agreement with the teacher that if any of our children misbehave at school, the parents, they have to talk to us. Then we have to discuss with the teacher. Then we have to agree what to do, their punishment. So I think that was the best thing we did. We used to bring our children.
It was really effective because when you are able to work with the teacher in the school, you are going to have it. Anytime they messed up, the teacher will just call me and come into one corner and say, this is what Angel did today. This is what this one did today. Then I'll say, what do you think is fit for this kind of punishment? Because when you work with them, they also work with you. And when you come to teachers' meetings, these are the issues you are supposed to. I find that many as a foreigner, we don't go to parents, teachers' meeting. And that is where most information about what is going on in the school is taking place. Because you are going to get more information about the child that is doing bad thing in the school that period, who is not going to do anything that is happening. So then you learn more information. That's why information is a very powerful thing. So I want to ask Sister Emily, for example, somebody come to report your child to you. You are a Christian, and the other person is not a Christian. How will you really handle it?
I think since parents, they have the primary value of the child, they must know who their child is. First, if somebody come and report my child to me, it depends on what they reported the child and what the child did. I will first of all ask my child what happened, because I know my child. Since I speak, communication is the first thing. If you are communicating with your child, you know whether the child can lie you or the child can manipulate you. I'll first of all ask my child, what this person has said this, and what can you really explain what happened? But if it's a teacher, then I think the best thing is for me and the teacher to cooperate how to handle the situation. Because, for example, if it comes to teenagers, it's a very, very tough time for all parents, because it is the age where they want to practice new things, and they think that they are always right to do whatever they are doing. So in that stage, it's a very, very difficult stage for parents alone to handle. So sometimes it's good to listen to outside people to hear what is happening with your child.
So I think you're very fortunate to have a good relationship with your parent, with the teachers of your child. And I think the teachers are there and they really have the child's best, I believe,
Interest.
best interest in mind. And you don't become a teacher unless you really care about kids, I don't think. I think they really do want what's best for them. But especially for people that come from other countries, there is a communication barrier sometimes, a lot of times, and it's more difficult. And maybe the child speaks the language better, and so it's easier to communicate that way. So I think for all parents, whether you're from here or whether you're from somewhere else, if you can be involved as much as possible with your child's education, know who teaches, and be like you said, to those meetings, and if there are problems that you get involved and that you're there, I think it's a real help, and it would help your child too. Because I do believe that the teachers that I know, that they really do care about the kids, and they care that they do well, and they want what's best for them. So if we can work together, it's not always possible, but
Thank you
really
very much.
good.
This is very good. As you complete, there's one issue I just come to my mind. The time I was teaching, and I saw a parent who was a Christian. When I say he's a Christian, he's a Christian. He marched into the school to start making trouble with one teacher. Why did you talk to my child like this? You can't talk to my child like this. And that child was a really troublesome child. He was really creating a lot of problem in the school. He was making a hell of problem with that teacher. The mother came and making trouble without even knowing. He's trying to tell you that I will make sure I deal with you. I will tell you I'm a Christian. So, and this woman was like, what? I'm trying to help you for your own child. So myself, I was frozen looking at this kind of situation. And that child was a very troublesome child. In the school, was creating a lot of problems in the school. But at the end, that child dropped out of school. Because the woman was trying to pretend that nothing was wrong with the child. Instead of letting the teacher discipline the child. And by the time I learned a lesson experience from that. When it comes to my son was in the final year in Emmanuel School, secondary school. It was the final year, it was the final term. They called me, suddenly the teacher called me. He said, my son have create problem, I should come immediately, the principal. I said, well, and I told them, if they call me, you know you are going to be in the B lesson, punishment. So when I dropped down there, they said my son and one other guy ring an alarm of the school they were playing. They put on an alarm of Blanco. Fire alarm. So the fire alarm came, and when they came, you have to pay them money, and it cost 1,500 to pay. So the principal said, "This is what happened." So the other boys' parents were there, and my son was there. I was there. So when they called me, their father was working. I drove down to the school. I said, "You know what?" I said, "The other boy, what class are you?" The boy said he's in 6, and my son is the 8th class, 9th class. I said, "You know what? my son, you are going to be the one to pay. The other parent look at me and I say, he's going to, as a principal, he's the one that is going to pay. You know what? Your mobile your father just bought for you, you are taking it back. The eye popped out. You know what? And the principal was shocked. The principal said, the other one was saying, oh, madam, please, let us. I said, no. I said, he took a step, responsibility to take the alarm. So he would take the big responsibility to pay. So the allowance we were giving to him, he gathered it to balance everything. He learned a big lesson from that. He know that he can't make any shit about it, and there were no allowance for him. So they understand all this. If we can be able, as a parent, not try to be so religious, because we as a church, let me bring it to the church level. We are so religious when we come to bringing up children. Oh, God will fix it. God does not fix it if you don't fix anything. Please, did you just sit down and God begin to fix your children for you without even doing anything? Because if you have bring 3 adults up, let us know, because maybe my way of bringing my own is different.
I think all parents face the same. God helps us in all our weaknesses. Well, yeah, no, He doesn't just zap them into perfection. We wish that.
You said a parent should be strict on her values. Can you name some of these values that a parent can be strict on when raising up a child?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of values, and I think there's, some are more important than others. For example, we can be honest. Honesty and integrity is a good value, and not to lie, but to tell the truth, and to forgive and to love people no matter who they are.
Thank you so much. That is very crucial too. Before you answer the other person's question, can I ask this question, which is very, because I find it so common with so many of us as a Christian. If somebody brings that person that is not a Christian into your home, can we really like the person without even using our religion mind?
Oh, I don't. Of course you can.
Yeah, because I've found people, if the person
love does not depend on what we believe.
Yeah, because
you love
when people is not a Christian,
who
they don't
they
allow
are.
people to come to their homes. They don't accept it. Because why a brother called me, a brother who is a Christian, who says almost an assistant pastor, he said, if you find my son moving with one person, I don't know what to name the name of the religion on the television. So why do I allow my children to move with you? I said, are you so foolish that are you going to judge the book by its cover? It's not about the religion of that person. It's about your heart. There are people who are more Christian, who are more wicked than other religion. It's not about that. But you only just to know whether the person is having a good intention, have the heart of love for the person. So we are so also we discriminate.
I think that's one thing that you find here in Sweden, that people are very tolerant. That's a core value in some Swedish people, that you're tolerant to a lot of people. You don't make the difference between male and female. You don't make the difference between where you come from. You'll find that there's a lot of acceptance. So, Christian or not Christian, it really isn't the issue. I think, and if we are Christians, even the more we love those who are unlovable, or we love people for who they are.
Thank you.
The program we have today is about marriage focus or family focus. And from what my pastor said, that it's a high rate of divorce and children raising in marriage. And some of the reason, in my own opinion, we partially lay the blame on the state. Because from the first sitting we had last week, there are some issues that when it's being tabled to the state, when it's related to divorce, the state need to sit there and hit it, then it wouldn't result to divorce. Why I said so? People value in Sweden, if you are couple, you earn more money. No matter how much you sweat, you earn less money. But when you are single, the monthly wages is so much. So, and so some issues wide ranging. When people focus much on that money, then he or she had to divorce the opposite partner. Then causes of why some children are raging much. The parents are drawing, the mother is drawing a boy or a girl, and the father is drawing. She will claim to develop or to apply more love to the child than the father. And today, this week the child was the mother, next week she was the father, who is she was the father. So those are some of the reasons on my own personal opinion, I see why I'm asked why the state prefer a single mother or a father making much at the end of the month. Then when you are a couple, your monthly wages is paid. If the state should hit on that, a couple makes more wages monthly than if you are single, it steps down. I think it will help to reduce that rate, the children rate in town. Because I have a similar case where the girl, father of the daughter, lives in Denmark. She pulls with that boy on daily pay that she need her daughter, but the boy is not going to give up. She has been to all social in Malmö and Sweden, Denmark, but they are not going to give up the child. So those are some of the reasons. But if you find the reason why he divorced a lady, it's a reason that the so-called office where the divorce was being tabled can be trashed with a twinkle of eye, but they are just oversee. So I don't know if such a person might be answered, if because they see much on that money or if there's an issue behind it.
People are married, and that in the sense that when people are married, they are easily divorced because the state will get more money from the state if they are single. So for that, many women are banking on that. They say, I don't need a man. When I'm single, I will get more money from the state. And the state is encouraging that single mother system. Right. And the issue is that when it comes to children involved in the relationship, this 1 week, the child will go and spend with the father. Another week, they will go and spend with the mother. And the child is placed in the middle. So the child can entice the father can entice the child with more present. And when probably the mother will not be able to afford it, or the father will not be able to afford it. So the child is now placed in the middle like a football game, playing game with it. So you are not saying that, why would the state be doing that?
Because there's an issue that the state might just...
You are...
There's an issue of divorce that when it's being tabled to wheresoever the divorce is being tabled, the state can handle with a trick of an eye. But they oversee some of those situations. So we would like to know, like us parents, because I would say, on my own opinion, I will partially give that blame to the state. Because when the divorce case is being tabled to filed to your table, I mean, you go through the divorce reasons why he or she is the consequence of being divorced. Not all consequences that made that approval of divorce, but the state just oversee and approve the divorce.
But if you look at the issue, there are so many departments in the system where you can carry your case as a married couple. So many people doesn't go there. There's what we call family rating. There are so many different offices you are supposed to take your marriage issues to. There are offices we call psychological office where you can talk about your marriage. They give you curator to talk about it. But many people lack information about the system and they blame the system for their marriage not working. Yeah, you cannot blame the system for your marriage because if you did not get information how to work on your marriage. And secondly, we know that there's a law there that favors the women. Which I know many women are taking advantage of that. If their husband did not beat them, they say their husband beat them. So if their husband did not do anything to their child, they'll say their husband did something to the child. So that they can award the child to the woman and the woman can collect extra money from the state about it. And so the father can pay child support. If the father does not have a job, the state pays the child support. We know, if you know the system, we know that there are many people manipulating the system. But there's nothing the system can really do much about it if we individual does not come to the knowledge of understanding and go to the right position at the right time. Because there is a place where in the Bible we say, lack of knowledge, my people perish. If you have sitting down inside your house and sleeping 24 hours, you are not going to get in contact to get information out there to dig yourself out of the hole. Nobody is going to come and give to you. So you can spend hours and and yes, blaming the system, but you have to get the information out there. We know that there are so many people that are counseling people who are not married. They have never been in the marriage system, they only read it from the book. Reading it from the book and living it practically is a different thing. There are many people who is giving child counseling children in their offices who has no children. They don't even have children. But they read it from the book. But the one you read from the book is not in the practical theology, in the practical sense. A psychology can tell you that the child will wake up 2 times in the night, or 3 to 4 times. When you have a newborn baby, to feed the baby in the night 2 to 3 times, so you have to wake up 3 times to feed the baby. But if you come to the reality, it can be 4 to 5 times. The baby will cry in the night to give the baby food. So in this sense is that we know that so laws favoring the women, but it's the women that need to come to the knowledge of the truth. God says He hates divorce. And we cannot judge the people who does not know God. We as a church, the rate of divorce in the church is higher than never. So what do we believe then? Many people does not really believe the word of God. They are just carrying the name, title, Christian, badge. We are not doing obedient to the word of God. But we want God to do these things for us. When God says, okay, you cannot argue with your husband. Don't argue. Sit down and solve your issue. No, I need to create tension. But you don't obey the word of God. But you want God to work for you. It does not work that way. So can you enlighten? Can you enlighten more about it?
Yeah, and I don't know about the rules and the regulations of the divorce here in Sweden. I don't know, because I haven't lived there for quite some time. I believe that for us as Christians, we have a standard that we believe, and we do believe in marriage. It's not that it's always easy or that it always works. We just have to do our best, and we have to believe that when we made that commitment, that's a commitment that we believe in. But it's not to say that Christian can't get divorced. It's hard. It's hard to keep a marriage together sometimes, but you have to go in it with the value or the truth or the commitment that I'm going to make this work. I'm going to do my very best to make this work.
Definitely. You see, that is one of the most important things when going into a relationship is just truth. Truth. The truth. What did the truth say about it? And do you believe the person you are marrying? Because there are many good liars out there that can deceive you. But we have to really, whether we believe the truth or not. So, but there's another issue I want you to dive into. Is that what is creating these days? It's more than just getting angry in the marriage, getting bitter in the marriage. It has to do with the root of problem people facing in their life as a child. Please, can you go into it? Because before a marriage can really work, there's nobody that wants to get married and divorce. I just woke up, I'm going to marry today, next week I will be divorced. There's no way that thinks like that. It's only people that who does not have a mind that think like that. But there are so many issues that have happened in people's childhood that surface later in lifetime that begin to mess things up. But many people doesn't want to go into that secret place, that dark place in their life.
I want to ask is when they talk about allowing somebody that is non-Christian to come into your home. I as a parent, I want to ask if it is proper, if you have realized that a child, like some parents don't bring up their child properly and you could see the way they are behaving. You as a parent, would you allow your child to be a friend to that kind of a child?
Definitely not. Definitely, I will not do that. Definitely not.
That's what I want to ask.
Definitely not. I will not do that. It doesn't mean that you hate the person. Like when my children were growing up, I told the first thing I was always telling them, I wrote it in their room. If you go to their room today, you still write there and say, dreams are not fulfilled by dreamers. Dreams are fulfilled by doers. The moment you see some kind of foolish people out there, stay away from them. Because if not, you begin to act like them. Not that they hate them. I don't want my children to go around alcoholic people. I don't want my children to go around drug dealers. I don't want my people to go around prostitution people. No. Because tell me who is your friend. I will show you your future.
Then another thing that I want to add is the issue of they are talking about single women having more money. The issue is not the single women having more money, because in Sweden we have something that we call joint custody. And if you have a joint custody, they give half of the money to the other parent. So I think some parents, they just run away from their responsibility to leave the responsibility on one parent. Then now they say single mother, they're having more money. They don't have, the state does not encourage them to have more money. It is the parent that is running away from their responsibility and giving it to the other parent. Because I, for example, am a single mother, and I have 2 children, but one of the other child, we share the custody and we share the economy also. Because I do not look at the economy part of it. I think my child needs the father. Because there are some things that I can give to my child that the father cannot give. And there are some things that, like for example, when it comes to the Swedish society, I can see that my child knows a lot of things. Like in Africa, we don't know how to throw toys on the ground and teach a child that this one is for this or this. So I admire those qualities when he comes back home, that he learns from the father. When it comes to mother responsibility, I know that there are some things that I can give to my son that my father, the father cannot give. So it depends on who the parents are and what they agree and how responsible they are to take care of their children. So in that case, I don't think the state has something to do with single mother, or it's just parents running away from their responsibility.
That's correct. You see, the money they are really paying is not being paid. The man is supposed to pay the money to the mother for the food and for responsibility for the child. But there are so many parents who is not working. So because they are not working, they cannot leave all the responsibility for the woman to do. So they still have to support the woman. But many people are taking it as the money belongs to them. They use to buy expensive things for themselves and not even taking care of their children. Not all, few. Or then maybe they are an alcoholic and disco goer.
We're talking about us, parents disciplining our children. If we have parents, like the father is very strict, is a disciplined person, and the mother just sitting and not doing anything. In that case, what can the person do?
You see, if the father is a very strict person and the mother is not doing anything, that the two of them have to be, they are not in the same terms. There's a disagreement there, and it's going to be a mess. Because by the time the father disciplines the child, the mother will say, "Oh, don't marry this foolish man. Don't worry, I'm on your side." It's going to create a lot of problem, tension in the house. And the child will take side. He will think that the father hates him and the mother loves him. And it creates a lot of long tensions. Or let the two come together. That is what we quickly find. And thank God, what we're able to come to the realization of it quickly with me and my husband, when my children were just 5, 6 years, 7 years, is I read a book, and that book opened my eyes deeply. So, and that's why I always tell people, say information is very good, knowledge is powerful. So it was then we begin to sit down and say, There are certain times when I will give them the room. Their father was working a lot at that time. We come late in the evening. When I give them room, when the moment their father just run through the door, they will run to go and meet their father by the door. This is what mommy did to me today. This is what mommy did to me. Mommy said, "You did go out. Mommy said, you did to a TV." Their father will say, "Yes." You're not going to go. I said, their father say, "Yes, you are not supposed to." And like they will less like back, they will reverse back and go back like that quietly. Because they know that two of them are now working together. But from the early beginning, first time we have not come to a conclusion about the moment my husband will say, "Oh, why do you want to just discipline like that? It's painful and feel bad for them, please." I said, they don't ask a man, "How did you bring your children?" They ask the woman, "How did you bring your children up?" Most of the time. So it has to do with two people working together. It's crucial. So in that situation, if by the time you get married, the man, you say, "The man, sit down." You just let the man discussion, communication. You see, marriage is communication. You see, without communication, you can't make marriage. That's why many people will think that the man supposed to. That is what the man is supposed to do this. The woman is supposed to do this. The man is not in your thinking. The woman is not in your thinking. So you cannot read your brain. You cannot read your mind. You have to. I look at marriage like negotiation for a dog company. Because me and my husband will always negotiate. My husband will say no, I say no, this one, I say no, he will say no, this one say no. We start to, people think that you just go, oh, we have never argued one day, we have never quarreled one day. If you see me and my husband, we are arguing, I say no, it's like you say no, so let's go to the final word. By the time we go to the final word, that one will bring peace inside. Do everything. So communication, you negotiate yourself. This is what I want. I want to go to Africa next month. I've already negotiated down since 3 months ago that I will go to Africa. I have negotiated that I will go to this place. I negotiate this negotiation. Communication. The same thing you bring to your children. You might tell your children want it today, not because they just speak everything. You are going to repeat it next week. The same thing with marriage. You tell the man today that we know we are supposed to go to dinner next week. He might not pick it then. That next week, 2 days, 3 times, say, do you remember we are supposed to go to dinner? He said, really? Then you remind him, say, we are supposed to dinner. He said, we are going to dinner today in the morning. Then he say, I know. So you negotiate. The people doesn't know, they just keep on, they expect the man to come on with, like God, let there be light. And there was light. No.
I wanted to ask in the aspect of, for example, a mother and a father, then one of the parents, not all the African men, but some of the African men have this idea like, I have to bring up my child exactly the way they bring children in Africa, even we are here in Sweden.
That is old school.
You know, and for me, example, I take myself as example. I have lived here for a long time, and I see the way people bring up children. I copy the good things from the both sides. But in the other aspect, like, no, this is how we bring children in Africa. Very tough with the child, very hard with the child.
They will lose their children.
And it makes as a parent, I sometimes feel like, okay, am I like standing against this other party or my partner? In this aspect, as a parent.
Before I answer it, you will
as a parent, because as we have learned, I have learned from my mom that you cannot change somebody except they are ready to change. But in this aspect, as a parent, what can I do?
Well, that's a difficult thing when you come into a different culture and you're trying to blend two cultures. I mean, I have a cross-cultural marriage too. My husband is English, and we've lived all over the world, and we've been living in different cultures. So I understand that it is a difficult thing to try to blend the two cultures and to make it work. It's not an easy task, but I think you're right in when you say, you know, there's good in both, and you take the good out of the one and you take the good out of the other, and the things that are not good, you know, that's good, you can leave that. You don't have to be harsh. Like in the African children are brought up very harshly. There's a lot of harsh fathers. As you know, the 4 years that I lived in Africa, there's a lot of harshness when it comes to how you deal with children. Whereas in Sweden, the father seems more involved and more loving and more caring type of person. But at the same time, there's other things in that culture that isn't good. Maybe the whole aspect of Christianity or the values that you stand for. You know, so it is a difficult task that you have to, and I understand. But you know what? It's like a lot of people are in that kind of situation. You have a cross-cultural marriage, and you have a cross-cultural trying to raise your children. I mean, I have children that are born in Britain, but they live most of their lives in the States, but they have a Swedish mother and a British father, and they've traveled a lot, and sometimes I have to look at them and say, you know what, you need to take, like you said, you need to take what's good out of this and what's good out of that, and your identity isn't just your culture. Your identity as a human being is who you are as a person, what you've learned and what you've been through. It isn't only associated with being from a certain culture, from a certain country, or from speaking a certain language. You've got to see yourself as an individual in that sense.
I will contribute to this in the sense that that is brought up in Africa, street. We never really connected to our parents. We love our parents more, if we say, but it's not connection. We don't have real connection. Like you can really come to your parents and be jovial with your parents and be like, if I see the way my children are, we are jovial with our children, making fun of ourselves. Those most Africans, some of them they come to us like.
Yeah, they're scared.
They're scared. Then one people like
That's
one
not
boy,
good.
one
Fear is not
like
good.
one boy came to my son and said, how is it that you and your father you are so like lively, like this? The boy was asking us yesterday, even the boy is coming to sleep in our house. He was asking, then I said, what is going on with you? But it's not it doesn't work. Africa way of thinking, old school. It doesn't work. We live in the children of today, they have more technology, they get more information today. They know what is going on. When you maltreat them badly, you are going to sit down with Oprah and talk about it. Yeah, just thank all of you for listening to this program today. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.